Do you have a wall that you need removed? I've got the GM for you to call. Bad news for the defense poured in this week. Robbie was at training camp, and it's a busy show, so let's get right to this week's episode of the Hogside.
Welcome to the Hogsty with your crew, Alex Zeese, Steve Thomas, and Robbie Duncan. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
And we're back. Sean is without power apparently right now. All this nice weather we've been having. But two guys are with me. Steve, you look like you're in a nicely air-conditioned room right there.
I am, and I've decided I'm going to start a GoFundMe page to fund Sean's power bill, in case that's what's happened to him. But yes, I'm nicely air-conditioned here in Texas. It's hot, but that's par for the course in July, so here I am.
Yeah, and speaking of hot, Robbie is nicely tanned from his last couple days at training camp.
I sure am. Speaking of GoFundMe, we should make a GoFundMe page for the Hogsty in general.
We're trying to sell T-shirts. People buy our T-shirts.
Pay for my hotel, staying over in Richmond, paying for my parking.
That would be nice.
Stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could actually afford to do any of this not out of pocket.
I look like the extra crispy Colonel from Cable.
Well, one of our listeners suggested that we get a male enhancement pill to sponsor our show, so maybe we can try that.
Oh, well,
So if any of you guys are out there who own one of those companies, call us. Mm-hmm. We don't want your product; we just want your money.
The Hogsty could take on a new meeting.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I told you off air. I just drove 10 hours today from my family's little cabin up in upstate New York back here. Mm-hmm. I had an interesting little vacation. One quick story I want to tell you.
Go for it.
The window in my car got stuck. The motor died, and it was stuck going down. We're in the middle of the woods. I have to drive about an hour and a half to get to the nearest place that can fix it. On my drive, I'm going up a mountain, and it starts raining.
Yikes.
Not good, but, I have a bag in the window, and that's helping a little bit. But I'm on top of a mountain. That rain turned to hail. Coming through the window, I'm getting pelted with ice cubes.
Did it break the bag?
I can't see more than 3 feet in front of me. My vacation was not a good vacation. I need a vacation for my vacation.
Did the hail bust through the bag on the window?
Oh, yeah. The bag was destroyed instantly. I was just getting hit in the arm. I stopped in the first town I came to after I got out of the rain. I looked at myself in a window of a store. Half my hair is sticking straight up just from, all the cold air and stuff blowing me in the face. It was not a fun experience. Just not. I would never recommend driving through a hailstorm with your windows down.
I've never done that.
Yeah,
that's a first.
You seem like the one who would.
I went for 2 years without air conditioning in my car because the compressor died and I didn't want to pay $2,000 to fix it.
Yeah. It was. They wanted $750 to fix the motor in the window.
Yeah, did you do it?
No, not there. I'm gonna do it down here.
So you had to drive home with another bag on the window? You'd fit right in Southeast DC.
I got them to put the window up for $50.
It fit in Hampton Roads too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not a fun experience. But Robbie, you had a fun experiences the last couple days I saw online.
I sure did.
Yeah. So what did you think of training camp so far?
So far, I'd have to say it's been very much the defense winning everything. Day one, I would give the slight edge to offense because it was the first day. Kirk looked really good the first day. Things were clicking. Mm-hmm. But defense, especially yesterday and today, they've been forcing a lot of checkdowns. The secondary's doing a pretty good job right now. Bashad Breeland's kind of, I think, playing with a chip on his shoulder now that we have Josh Norman there.
Oh, he flat out said it, early in the offseason. He said he still wanted to be the number one corner, and he acted like he was a little bit offended that Josh Norman was there, but that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. He's a guy that, really, was very confident in his abilities and, obviously is very motivated by the Josh Norman signing, and I think he wants to prove he's worth that kind of money as well. So he's been really lighting it up so far in camp. Another corner that's been lighting it up is Greg Toller. free agent that we signed over the offseason. He's been very solid in his coverage.
No, he's a veteran guy, right?
Yeah, we talked about him in our cornerback breakdown, and he's got a lot of experience, and he was a solid pro. He's not going to be in anybody's Pro Bowl, but he was a very solid pro. It was a good pickup. He just kind of got overshadowed by Kendall Fuller and Josh Norman.
Yeah. And he's going to make this team unless some miracle happens where guys behind him just start outshining him, but.
Or injuries,
Or injuries, exactly. Toller's been very good in coverage this past 3 days. He never any catch that was caught on him was not an easy catch. He's always been right there, and even today he got a interception off of Colt McCoy. Was running down the sideline with Rashad Ross, and Colt kind of just chucked it up for go get it, Ross, but Toller had the better position. And it was an easy interception and returned it for a couple yards back.
What kind of speed did you see Toller have?
I mean, he was right there next to Ross, so he seems to be pretty fast.
If he's keeping up with a young guy like that, yeah.
And by the way, I don't think it's that big a deal that the defense has been basically beating the offense. I mean, it's early in the training camp, and typically defenses are a little ahead because it's just kind of all effort, and offense is precision and timing, and I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think anybody should read too much into it. That's all.
No, it's not. And up to today, Kirk had been having a really good camp. He looked smooth. He's been looking confident, in control of the offense and the huddle. Today he had 2 picks. One of them, I guess, was kind of his fault. It was during 7-on-7 that I didn't quite see because that was going on at the same time as the O-line versus D-line one-on-ones.
And we all know where Robbie's interest.
When Robbie sees 2 big guys going at it like walruses fighting, that's where his
that takes precedent over anything the skill players are doing. The real skills going down on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
But the one I did see from Kirk was the play of the day today on the Saturday practice. It was a first play of team reps. They set up a quick screen, and Trent Murphy just read it completely and picked it off, and would have been a touchdown pick 6 type thing.
Trent Murphy?
Trent Murphy. He pulled Ryan Kerrigan. It was impressive.
Who knew?
Speaking of, Trent Murphy's been having a great camp too, I think.
Really?
Yes, very much so. He had his first day, he was really kind of flying all over the place. Looked a lot more explosive than he has in the past to me, which is weird because he put on all this weight to play D-line. But
maybe he's just in better shape.
He might be. That's a good point.
I mean, the weight he's putting on, if you think about it, it's got to be mostly muscle mass, right? I mean, he wasn't just sitting there eating bacon.
Oh yeah, it's good weight. It's not bad weight. I saw him real up close when he was up signing autographs with guys and fans after the first practice. He's solid. It's hardly any fat on him. So
I wonder if Trent Murphy has seen the Grim Reaper in the rearview mirror, and he just knows he has to step it up. I mean, because the team has framed his movement to inside is kind of a good thing, right, But the truth of the matter is he's getting outplayed on the edge, and he kind of proved he wasn't all that good on the edge, and so they had to move him to find a spot for a second-round draft pick. And so I really wonder if Murphy kind of knows that this may be his last chance, and so he's got to step up.
That's a good point. I mean, he definitely seems, I guess, hungry, so to speak. He definitely is motivated and has a different motor to him than before that I've noticed.
Well, we're talking about a guy, he's a Stanford guy, and we know that they take the academic side seriously there, at least, recently. And every description of him is a blue-collar, lunch-pail type football player. So a little bit of self-awareness is not totally unexpected to me, at least. To me, that what you're saying sounds like it would make perfect sense in terms of a career trajectory perspective.
Well, Robbie, as long as we're talking D-line, since you brought up Murphy, I mean, we've got Paya, we've got Ioannidis, we've got Murphy, we've got Chris Baker. Ricky Jean-Francois. Of those guys, who do you think are our strongest interior D linemen, and who do you think would be our starters, say if we're in like a 4-3 package?
Strongest right now is definitely Baker and Ricky Jean-Francois. They've been their primary starters at D end, and Francois
4-3 D end or 3-4 D end.
In our base 3-4, they're the D ends. But Yeah, I've seen some great push up front from both of them. You know, in the one-on-ones, Baker, he's given Brandon Sheriff fits. He's a great pass rushing D tackle, and I've seen some good moves from Ziggy Hood too. He got a better of Brandon Sheriff in one-on-ones a couple times. Who else? Matt Ioannidis. He's not the starting nose guard. The starting nose guard right now is Kedrick Golston, believe it or not.
Right.
Which may change because Matt Ioannidis has done pretty well in one-on-ones too.
Is he big enough?
Yeah, he's big enough. He's
because he's not that heavy for a nose guard.
I think he's 310, 315.
He's bulked up since he got drafted.
Okay.
He's a little over 300 pounds now. He looks the part. But in one-on-ones, he was kicking Austin Reeder's butt a bunch. But Spencer Long got him on one play. Who else did he go against? I don't remember. But he's a sneaky good pass rusher as a big D lineman.
And certainly that's what this team needs is some more pressure up front. I mean, we weren't that good at it last year, and that would really help a lot. So if he's a pass rusher, God bless him.
Now, I know they don't do a lot of 11-on-11 work. You know, there's a lot of 7-on-7, a lot of man-on-man kind of practices. Right. Did you see any 11-on-11, like how they were lining up at all?
Well, yeah, they did 11-11 a good number of times each practice. It's like two or three different segments of it. But interesting thing I saw, every time they went out into an empty set, they would have Chris Thompson out there as split out as a wideout.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just a threat of a screen game or, just different type of looks to throw him off.
Do a jet sweep kind of thing.
Yeah, many times I saw him lined up with the receivers in an empty set.
That's an interesting...
Why don't you just tell us... Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so was he in the slot too?
Slot sometimes, but mostly out far wide.
Really? Huh. Okay.
Why don't you tell us, how does their practice set up? I mean, you've seen it several times now. What do they do? Just take us through a practice. What do they do?
All right. So usually it's very each practice, just like when I was in college too. It's all by 5-minute periods. I didn't keep track of how many periods is in each practice, but usually when we did it in college, it was about 24 periods, and that was it. But you start off with the warm-ups, stretching and different like calisthenics just to get your body warmed up and loose. And then they go right into special teams, just like what we did in college. They would do, I guess each day is a different focus. Like the first day was punt.
Sure.
The second day was, I want to say, kickoff. And then today was kick return. They go right into special teams. They do different drills there for about 2 periods worth. And then while they're doing that, on the other side of the field, the D-line, O-line, bigger guys that aren't on special teams are warming up, doing the stretches and stuff. And then after that, they go right into individual drills where each position group breaks out into with their coaches to do drills. Offense, before they do that, they do like maybe, 4 or 5 reps of just like walking through plays, and then they break off from there. And then after individuals, they break into quarterbacks and receivers throwing to each other and catching. And then into that, they go from that into one-on-ones, wide receivers versus the DBs, while the O-line and D-line are still doing their thing. And then after that, they do team reps, live team reps, offense versus defense.
Is that is that ones on ones?
Yeah, ones on ones, twos on twos, however they rotate it. And then they break off again into different individual stuff or special teams. And then after that, they go into 7-on-7 and the O-line versus D-line, one-on-ones, and then more team reps. And then today they ended the practice with a 2-minute drill and then a couple field goal kicks from Dustin Hopkins.
Now
It's typical.
That sounds like a typical practice. Let's go right to the big issue. It seems to me.
Okay.
You mentioned the receivers, DBs do one-on-ones. Part of the fan base is having a slight freak out over the fact that we've seen several film clips of Josh Norman getting dusted by Deshaun Jackson, and then there was one about Pierre Garçon. What did you see with Josh Norman?
I see a guy that's still adjusting to a new team. It's he's a great corner, and that's any concern there is I think very ignorant. You need to understand the fact that he's been in another division on another team where he's not facing the same type of receivers like the Redskins have. I mean, Deshaun Jackson is elite. He's got the elite speed, elite footwork. He's unlike anybody that Norman's had to cover before.
Well, Atlanta has some pretty good receivers.
They got Julio Jones, but he's not fast like Deshaun Jackson.
He's not Deshaun
different
Jackson.
type. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the good thing is he's getting all this work against Deshaun Jackson. So by the time he goes against other teams' receivers, they're going to seem slower than Deshaun Jackson. So he's not going to have to play as fast and be more, be more Josh Norman.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that, these are drills in practice, and anybody who's ever been through drills in any kind of sport knows that people lose drills and you win drills. This is not, there is not any, Darryl Green got beat many, many, many times in practice, I can guarantee it. This is not a situation where just because Josh Norman certainly is an elite corner, we expect him to win every single drill. That's just crazy. That's not going to happen. Right. And on top of that, like you just said, Robbie, I mean, Deshaun Jackson is, not only is he elite, but he's kind of the opposite of the wide receivers that Josh is probably better at covering. Right. He's not, we've said before, Josh Norman is not a one-on-one guy with a Z receiver, which is sort of what what Deshaun right. Jackson is. He's a zone guy covering the X receiver, and so this is a case of Josh Norman not only adjusting to another team, but he's working on his weaknesses, people. Sure.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. Let's have it done now in a friendly circumstance before he has to get out and cover, someone, someone else's.
And the other thing too is the Skins aren't in man-to-man hardly at all. They're pretty much cover 3, cover 2, different variations from there. So and that's what he primarily is a zone corner. So,
but these are just drills. I mean, they just do
drills and part of the game.
And
part
not to
of
mention,
practice.
it's the coaches probably trying concepts to see what they can work with.
Exactly.
I think it's brilliant to throw him out there against Deshaun all the time.
Right.
Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
It's going to make each of them better.
The one thing we don't know is what are the coaches really trying to get out of each practice, each drill. They could be just. It could be, hey, let's see how Norman does against a speed guy. It could be, let's see how Kirk does with these types of routes. They could be looking at things that we're not even expecting, as we're standing there as bystanders watching.
Yeah, and the main thing coaches want to see in any of these drills really is competition. Right. How guys battle and fight for to win the rep. That's the biggest thing they see. Mm-hmm. If you lose going 100% and fighting and competing, then it's not as bad. But if you just take it and lose, then they're going to light into you.
And then how do you come back on the next drill? That's another thing.
Now, have we seen Quentin Dunbar out there at all? I mean, he was selfish enough to prioritize the birth of his child over practice.
How dare he?
Yeah. So has he been there at all?
He was there today.
How did he look?
Couldn't see a lot of him, but there was a couple plays where he was right there. But Kirk made a good throw, so he had Dunbar didn't have much of a chance to make an attempt on the ball, but. He didn't look rusty or anything. Saw some good stuff. Saw some bad stuff.
I'm wondering. The reason I brought it up is, we all like him, at least on this show, and I really wonder if he can make a jump this year to be a legit, serious, starting quality. He's not going to start here, right? I mean, with Bashad and Josh, but can he make the jump from guy who's learning on the fly to a legit corner? That's big time.
Coach Gruden really seems to think so. He was asked about Dunbar, I want to say yesterday in his press conference, and he kept talking about how throwing him into the Wolves that Monday night against Des Bryant and how he played really hard against him and did what he did. That ain't nothing. That ain't no fluke. He's got the skill and the talent to do it. He's just got to put the whole thing together.
To be fair, most people ask Gruden about Dunbar just so they can hear him say Dunbar.
We got Quentin Dunbar.
Dunbar. Dunbar.
Of course, unless your name
is Mike Jones or somebody, I would be coming up with Dunbar-related questions every day.
All the time. Although, let's be fair, though. I mean,
Dunbar came back from after his baby's birth. We're glad to have him back.
Little Dunbar made an appearance.
We got a baby Dunbar now.
I think, to be fair, though, unless your name is Robert Griffin, Jay Gruden isn't going to say anything bad about anybody.
No.
You know, he's like the only player I've ever heard him bash was Griffin. You know.
Yeah.
But let's, we've hit, one more thing on DBs. You know, D Hall, safety, still doing well. Did he flash for you at any point?
I haven't seen him do anything terrible at safety. I haven't seen him been exposed. Mm-hmm. Best thing I saw from him was today during one-on-ones. He covered Vernon Davis in one-on-ones and was right there, and easy interception on the ball. He just bit right on the underneath route that Vernon Davis tried to cut into, and it was an easy pick. And then he followed that with a rep against Jordan Reed, and you know, Jordan Reed is Jordan Reed, so he kind of made him look foolish. But
he makes everybody look foolish.
Yeah, Jordan Reed does that to everybody.
The only thing I think you haven't covered is the linebackers. How the linebackers?
Well, but let's go. One more thing on safeties.
Oh, sorry.
The other safety, you know, we predicted David Bruton Jr. As being probably the starter. Who did you see out there with the ones with D Hall?
It was David Bruton or Bruton. I don't know what his last name is, but he was the other safety. He's primarily our strong safety. D Hall's the free safety. You know, Bruton is actually pretty big too. Like, I didn't realize, you know, looking on paper how big he was, but in person he's a big guy. He can move too. Very athletic.
Well, he was a quarterback. I mean, he is a legitimate athlete, or was.
Oh yeah, of course, but he's bigger size-wise and, you know, and girth-wise.
Is he bigger fat-wise, or
no?
He looks kind of pudgy.
He's not pudgy. He's not pudgy. He's lean, and he's got some muscle on him too. He's just a bigger guy than I thought he was.
Is he like a Sean Springs kind of big, where deceptively, you know, just like large for a secondary guy?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Gruden. Wait a minute. I thought you were talking about Gruden.
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the coach. That's why I said, is he fat? Because I was thinking, I don't know if Jay Gruden looks lean.
Gruden actually does look thinner than I remember. He may have been working on something. But
remember, he got pissed off when someone called him fat last year.
That's true. But he's fun to watch out there too. He gets into it. He's having a good time, you know, joking around with players, messing around in the drills. He keeps things lively for the team, and he looks like a fun guy to be a player for, a fun coach to play for.
Let's talk linebackers, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go outside linebackers first.
Okay.
Because, you know, Preston Smith, Ryan Kerrigan, Junior Gillette, who's obviously gone. I noticed you tweeted a lot about Willie Jefferson and Lyndon Trail being pass rushers who kind of stepped up. So what did you see in the outside linebacker group?
So I haven't been able to see hardly anything of Preston Smith. He was there for the first day, and then after that he left during the morning walkthrough on Friday to attend a funeral. And then today he took a leave of absence, I guess still kind of in mourning. I think it was his aunt that passed away.
Oh.
Must have been really close with her. But besides him, it was Ryan Kerrigan and Houston Bates that were the starting outside linebackers after Preston Smith left. Trent Murphy kind of moved around here and there between D-line and outside linebacker. I think they're just, you know, refreshing his memory on outside linebacker in case he does have to play there. But yeah, Willie Jefferson, the first day of practice, made some noise when he beat Trent Williams in a rep for a sack, and then the next rep he went against Ty Nsekhe, beat him inside for a sack. That was a good day for him. But since then, I didn't see anything out of him that really wowed me. But he's doing a good job. Lyndon Trail is a giant out there, by the way. He towers over everybody on the defense. I'd like to see him generate more pressure than he does, because he's got such long arms and can get around the edge so much easier than these other guys, because he can, you know, win these hand fights with linemen using his long arms. So I want to see more out of him too. But definitely Willie Jefferson of the rest of the guys has stuck out as a potential guy to make the team as the, I guess, situational pass rusher or fill-in guy if somebody get hurt.
And I'm going to just ask the inside linebacker question in this way.
Yeah.
Give me your two starters right now.
Starters are Mason Foster and Will Compton.
No, I mean, based on what you saw on the field, you would stick with them too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. Cravens is the second team inside linebacker with Martrell Spate.
Mm-hmm.
How big is Cravens? I mean, I've expressed my concern many times on this show that I thought Cravens is a little bit of a tweener, because he's, at least by his listed height and weight, he's small for an NFL inside linebacker. So what did you really see?
Small for a linebacker.
Yeah, he's definitely a tweener. He's not as big as you would like for a linebacker, but that's because he's primarily a nickel linebacker. He's not going to be that thumping inside linebacker tackle machine type. That's not him. He's your cover guy, your sideline to sideline guy, make plays type thing.
Well, Lord knows we could use a cover guy, and an outside linebacker.
Absolutely. And you can see his athleticism on the field. Yeah, it is a heel of ours. Hopefully he can cover tight ends better than what we've done in the past.
Well, how athletic really is he? I mean, what did you see in that regard?
He's very smooth out there. He drops into his zone really smoothly. He reacts to the quarterback pretty much right on the money. Like, as soon as the ball's thrown, he's right there. He's a good hustle guy, too. Every time the play's over, he's right there where the ball is. He's got some good instincts to him too. Like we mentioned in the draft talk about him after the draft, he's a very smart player. The interception he had on the second practice.
You said he baited Kirk into it, right?
Yeah, he was covering the running back in the flat. The running back, it wasn't like he was running side to side with him, or running towards the sideline right next to the running back. He was near where the linemen were. And the running back was behind him by a couple yards. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
He was behind him. So Cravens was watching Colt at that point, and Colt saw the running back who looked open, and he did look open. He tried to float it over to the running back, and Cravens just jumped right out of the air and snagged it. Would have been a pick six.
Now, how do you tell the difference between when Colt's trying to float it and when Colt just normally passes it, because it always looks as he's floating it to me?
This is an Alex joke.
Yeah, it is.
Mrs. McCoy,
sorry.
We don't dislike
Sorry,
your son.
everybody.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that was a great play.
Is he
really
going to get
did.
on the field? I
Yes.
still have this feeling we wasted a second-round pick on a guy who's never going to start.
No, it's not going to waste. He's going to be on the field a lot this year. They're just, he's a rookie, still learning the system, still learning all the plays and calls. He'll get out there.
So he didn't line up at safety at all, though, right?
No, he's been inside linebacker all camp.
So that's clearly where the focus is going to be. They listed him as a linebacker. He's going to play linebacker.
Right.
It'd take an emergency to get him out there as a safety, basically, then.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably next year, though, we'll see a little more versatility in that regard, I'm guessing.
Well,
Just
we'll see.
my guess.
Hard to know.
Yeah.
Now, your favorite thing, of course, O-line.
All right.
Who stuck out this year? Last year, for those of you who remember, Robbie Duncan was the only one of anybody of the analysts who thought that Ty Secchi was going to be anybody. And it turns out you were right. And so what did you see of – let's start with tackles. To me, Trent looked in much better shape than he's been in, to me. He looked really slimmed out, leaned out, bulked up.
Yeah, Trent looks great. He looks a lot leaner. He looks a lot quicker. Trent's Trent. Nothing much to worry about with him. I think
just health.
Excuse me, hiccups.
Yeah,
I think the whole the rep with Willie Jefferson beating him for a sack was
it's reps.
He
man.
got beat. It's reps.
And
I think a guy like Trent sometimes takes plays off, which is true. I mean, you're going against a guy like Willie Jefferson and Lyndon Trail, no-name guys really.
Especially
it ain't the Packers in the playoffs, people.
He's not going against Gillette, it's so I think he just kind of underestimated them for two plays. But besides him, our best lineman I've seen in camp is Ty Secchi. It's true. He's been solid all camp. Every rep I've seen of him doing really well.
From a technical standpoint, if you were in a film room and you were talking to people who knew what you see, what would you say about Ty Secchi?
He's very patient. He's got quick feet. He reacts really well to what the defensive lineman does. He doesn't he doesn't give them a read. He makes them choose what to do, which, with his long arms and his reach, he can pretty much do whatever he wants with the pass rusher. So
did you see him line up at right tackle or just left tackle?
He's backup left tackle,
right,
when the twos jump in, but he's done some reps at right tackle and one-on-ones and stuff.
I'm wondering if he's a better right tackle than Morgan Moses. I'm just throwing it out there. You said he's our second best lineman.
I'll say this. I think Ty Nsekhe is a starter. I think he could start for another team on the offensive line at a tackle spot. Whether he's better than Morgan Moses, maybe a little more polished, but Morgan's got the higher ceiling, and plus he's a lot younger too.
Right.
Yeah.
When you have a decade on the guy, you're not going to.
It's not a decade, but
almost.
No, it's more like 5 or 6 years.
What is Moses? He's like 24.
Yeah, and Nsekhe's 28,
32?
29. He's not 32.
No.
No, he's getting there though. He's like 29, 30 years old.
Okay, I thought he was older.
Well, let's go to left guard now, though.
Yeah, that's the big question mark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a big question.
Did anyone show up today and say, "Hey, this is my job now"?
I wouldn't say that.
No.
No. I still think the job's going to be Sean Laval's.
Has he played at all? Has Sean Laval gotten on the field? No.
No, he's on the pup.
No, he's off the pup though, right? Didn't he get released from the pup list?
I think so, because I saw him on the field where the linemen do their individual drills, going through a workout, and I think testing his movement and seeing if he's 100%. So I think he'll be out pretty soon, probably by Monday, if anything, because they don't have practice tomorrow, so it's another day to rest for him. But yeah, I think the job is going to be Sean Laval's. You can't deny how our running game was last season before he got hurt. None of the guys in camp so far have done anything for me to say, wow, this is his job. He's taken over. I mean, Spencer Long hasn't done terrible. The worst I've seen from him is when he's at center. His snaps are still inconsistent. Even during one-on-ones, he'd snap the ball and try to block his guy, but the ball sailed over the dude's head or rolled to him in the ground. So he needs to pick that up if he wants to play center.
Well, if you had to make a bet right now as to starting left guard, who's it going to be?
It's Sean Laval. And I need to mention Ari Kwanjo. He does look better than he did last year in camp.
Friend of the show, Ari Kwanjo.
Exactly. He's looking better. He even got some reps at left tackle today during one-on-ones.
That's interesting.
I think they're just toying around with him being like.
He's got the size for it.
He does, and he didn't look bad at left tackle either. Quick feet and was patient. I think what's hurting him is adjusting to the pass rusher's counter move. Like if you stop him initially and they do something else, I think he needs to work on getting separation in pass pro so he can do a better job of mirroring the guy instead of letting him get into him.
So you put him in for a good 3-step drop play, but not a good 5-step drop.
Yeah, he needs to work on finishing the block and not losing at the last second.
Anyone else on O-line, or should we move on to receivers and running backs?
Just to note that Brandon Sheriff, he's not looked very good in pass pro, at least in the one-on-one reps that I've seen. I don't know what it is, but
it's early in camp. Maybe he's not in good shape. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's not. I'm not going to raise an alarm about it, but it's worth noting that he's been struggling against Chris Baker here and there, Ziggy Hood, Stephen Paya has done some good stuff too. So, yeah.
Well, let's move to tight ends because I'm anxious to hear whether Vernon Davis stuck out to you in any way.
That dude he's taller than I thought he was too. He's really tall and obviously he's jacked. I mean, you see the pictures of him. The dude's got no
he's
fat
an
on him
elite
at all.
athlete. Yeah,
he is, and he looks good. Gruden keeps talking about how good he is at run blocking, which seems to be pretty evident out there because running game's been clicking here and there from what I saw. I've seen 2 different times where the 2 tight end sets was Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis, and not Niles Paul. But then I saw a couple times where there was Reed and Paul.
How did Davis's speed look, though? I mean, to me, the big question is the speed. I mean, he's not going to run a 4.3 anymore at his age, but if he can get anywhere near that, he's going to have some pretty darn good speed for a tight end still, which really I mean, even if he's...
I haven't seen an opportunity for him to really show his speed. Most of his stuff's been like routes across the middle, and then he just catch it, and defense would be there to wrap him up. So I haven't really had the chance to see how fast he is at this point.
Now, Niles Paul is back after a year of an awful ankle injury, and we heard about Niles' miraculous recovery, ability over the offseason.
Right.
How has Niles looked?
Niles Paul, he looks back to normal. He looks like the guy we saw in camp.
He looked a little lean to me in one picture. I don't know if it was just a picture. Is he a little bit leaner than he was? Maybe not leaner, smaller.
Maybe a little bit, but not too much. He's still a pretty big guy from what I remember. But yeah, I'm excited to have him on the offense again this year. He's going to add a lot to it. He's a good blocker. He's getting better at that, and he's becoming a more dangerous receiving threat too, as he's been here longer.
So is Logan Paulson just a forgotten man? I mean, you haven't mentioned Logan at all.
I haven't seen anything from him at all.
Well, that's not good.
But it's not like it's anything bad. It's just I haven't seen him thrown to at all during team reps. He may have gotten a pass here and there, but I think it's just gonna be really hard for him to stay on the team when you got Niles, Vernon, and Jordan, and Derek Carrier's almost back from his injury. I saw him working out too. He looks pretty good. Should be out there pretty soon. So.
Well, if I recall, my prediction sure to go wrong was that Marcel Jensen would take Logan Paulson's place on the roster. Have you seen him in any way?
He's a big dude, that's for sure. But
so you've seen him?
Yeah.
You physically laid eyes on him, but other than that, it doesn't sound like he's done too much.
He hasn't wowed me. I haven't seen him stand out at all. It's hard to do because you're trying to take in everything so you can report it and tweet it out, but it's hard.
That's why we need to get more than one of us down there next year. Yeah. So, big question. Our first-round draft pick, Josh Doctson, have you seen him? No, of course you haven't, because he's been on the PUP list. Is he out there working at all, doing anything? What's Josh Doctson's status that you could tell?
I saw him out on the field yesterday. He was talking with the media, catching some passes from the Jugs machine. He's a big guy. He's big. Like, he's bigger than I thought he'd be. So I can't wait to see him in pads and going against these corners and see what he can do in a one-on-one situation. But yeah, he's gonna be there when he's there. Not
at this point, if he misses too much of training camp, you have to kind of begin to wonder what kind of impact he's going to have on the season. Because wide receiver is not a position where you can just waltz in and be good right from the start as a rookie.
Certainly he's not good for the front office's health. It seems like that's one thing we know already.
Because the story goes that when Scott McLuhan was originally told that the original prognosis for Josh Doctson was a 3-month recovery, he apparently punched a wall. And the reason why this became to be a story was that I guess he walked out into practice. Did you see a bandage on his hands, Robbie?
His hands all taped up.
No, I never did see him on practice field.
But there are photos of him with a taped up hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently when he heard that Doctson was going to be out 3 months, which turned out to be not accurate, that he punched a wall. Right. So, in case anybody's wondering, Scott McGowan's apparently an intense dude.
Yeah. He cares.
A lot.
You can't take that away from him.
I hear the players actually loved it when they heard that that's what happened, too. That they really dig that he got that mad.
Yeah. We're so fortunate to have a guy like him.
Yeah,
we really are.
Now, I'm most interested, though, to hear what you say about Ryan Grant, because this is a guy who, frankly, in my opinion, just hasn't shown up in games, hasn't made an impact, but we constantly hear about how Jay Gruden just loves him, thinks he's great. Is he a great practice player? What did you see about Grant?
I mean, he's getting his opportunities. He made some good plays in one-on-ones against DBs. He's always been a good route runner, so that shows up in one-on-ones. Saw him get a couple good catches across the middle in team reps here and there. But it's going to be hard to take down the champion of since Gruden loves him so much. These other receivers are going to have to really outperformed Ryan Grant to take him down.
Mm-hmm. Now, the guy I obviously care about is Crowder. I know he did some punt return. Did he do any kick return?
I hope not.
No?
I saw him line up and catch some here and there, but
Okay.
I don't think it's anything
Just
they're
practice.
really serious about. Yeah,
Did they
just
have
practice.
anybody else out there doing punt returns but Crowder? I hope so.
It was Crowder, Chris Thompson, Will Blackman was returning some punts. Who was the other guy? Rashad Ross.
The new guy that we
Blackman, I can see
signed.
that.
What's that? I'm sorry, Alex, I cut you off.
I just said I could see Blackman. That's a good utility role for a veteran guy like that.
Well, I think he did
Yeah.
it a little bit in college. You know, I can't remember. We signed two guys this past week, Kendall Thompson and T.J. Thorpe. And I think it was Thorpe, but don't hold me to that. I think of the two of them, it was Thorpe. One of those guys is a return specialist.
One of them was a quarterback, so I don't.
Well, that was
remember who.
that was Thompson.
Okay,
Thompson was
so
a
probably was
quarterback.
Thorpe.
Yeah, I think Thorpe is a guy. He's apparently a return specialist with elite level speed. So we'll see. Did any of these other down roster guys stick out with you? Maurice Harris, Valdez Showers, Des Stewart, any of those guys?
No, not really. I've seen what was it? Des Stewart. He got bullied by Rashad Breeland one rep in one-on-ones. He just locked him down in the first 5 yards and took him straight out of bounds. It was no contest for Breeland.
Does Bashad Breeland still have his 4 puppies running around the practice field? Do you see that? You guys see this photo?
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw that.
Or the
Pugs, right?
Pugs, yeah.
Yeah. No puppies on the practice field.
that's
unfortunately.
probably a good thing, actually.
Maybe we should rename our show the Pug Sty if we ever get him on.
Pug style.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Have we missed anything? I know we
Yeah,
didn't really
running
cover
backs.
Kirk.
We need to cover running backs.
Oh,
I
and running
mentioned
back.
Kirk a little bit.
Yeah.
The big, we've been railing on and on, for what seems like months about how weak our running back group is sort of in general. Not a lot of depth. We're all hoping and praying that Matt Jones takes a leap and becomes a good player.
Right.
What have you seen out of Matt Jones?
I haven't seen any fumbles, which is good.
Yay! Matt Jones didn't fumble. Yay!
And in the first 2 practices without pads, I saw some good runs. I think he's looking pretty good. Not many people have been talking about him, which I personally think is a good thing. If they're talking about him, it's usually for something bad. So if he's not making any news, then I think he's doing okay.
All right.
Now, Robbie's man crush, Joe
Keith
Carriage.
Marshall?
No,
Joe Carriage?
Yeah.
I didn't see anything from him today.
Aww.
I'll need to look out for him again when I'm back and they have pads on.
Yeah.
Now, Keith Marshall, does he have the legitimate amount of speed that we think he has?
He really does. Yeah, he had to
Really?
play today. He had to play today in team reps where he cut behind the left tackle and had Breeland right there ready to wrap him up, but he faked him out and juked upfield and was gone.
Do you think Keith Marshall has? Do you think he has franchise back potential?
I think he does, as long as he's healthy. Yeah,
Interesting.
He's got some size on him too. He's not just one of those small speed backs like Chris Thompson.
Well, I think
got
he's
some size
listed
to
like
him.
6 foot 220 or something. He's not a small dude. Yeah.
I think him and Matt Jones, either way, how it turns out, I think the two of them could be a really good duo.
And so Chris Thompson, it sounds like, unless something crazy happens, Chris Thompson's probably still going to be our third down back then.
Oh yeah, Gruden loves Chris Thompson, and I like Chris Thompson too. I think he's getting better.
It sounds like
each year.
Thompson's found a niche in this
Yeah.
offense, which is
Well,
great.
I told you guys he had the highest yards per carry in the league last year.
Yeah.
In that third down role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's gonna.
I just don't think he would sustain that with.
Well, no, of course he wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's not him, you
Yeah.
know. But the point is, he's been effective
Right.
doing what he's doing, and he built up. I thought he was going to get cut,
Yeah.
at some point, because he was always so injured and everything else. It's good to see he's kind of developed. What about these down roster guys? Mac Brown, Kelsey Young, Rob Kelly. Any of them stuck out in your head?
I saw some pretty decent runs from Mac Brown. I want to say that Kelly had a good run here and there, but other than that, the other backs haven't stuck out to me that much.
Now, you've talked Cousins, you talked McCoy. It sounds like McCoy has had kind of a tough camp so far. What'd you see out of Nate Sudfeld? I saw you tweeted out that he's got a strange ball.
He kind of throws in a downward angle, like the ball releases with the ball kind of.
Interesting.
like a plane going in for landing. It's
even as the ball's rising.
Yeah, it's at this downward angle.
Is it a weird is his arm coming too high up or something?
No, I think he's just so tall that he ends up throwing it down more.
How big is he? He's listed at 6'6". Is he legitimately that big?
He towers over Kirk and Colt. It's not even close.
But he's got a long way to go, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, he's still got a little bit ways to go with his accuracy and decision making and stuff. But I mean, I'm not saying this kid's he doesn't deserve to be here or anything. I think
it's day 3 of training camp, and he's a rookie.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. I just think, to caution this in general. I mean, all these observations is day 3. None of this stuff needs to be taken too seriously quite yet, because it's still really super early in the process. It's like in today's world, we have so much access. We have, live film of training camp. There's a long way to go. Last thing about this, maybe we need to move on. We've covered every position group. The special teamers, Hopkins, Sundberg, Tressway, are these guys standing around doing nothing all practice? Do they hang out and go kick? What do they do? Do they kick balls for 2 hours? What do they do?
Yeah, they're always doing something, practicing snaps, kicks, punts. They're doing something when the other teams are on the other field. They're finding a spot to kick field goals or practice punts. They're always doing something.
Because I always have this vision
of boring.
Like the Keanu Reeves movie, the Replacements, that was kind of loosely based on the Redskins. The place kicker was this British soccer player, was smoking cigarettes on the field and never doing anything. Right. I just have this vision. Dustin Hopkins doesn't strike me as that type of guy, but I've always wondered if NFL kickers actually practice, and it sounds like they do.
Yeah, they're always doing something.
Remember, Steve, you got to put in 10,000 hours to be a professional. So they got to kick it for 10,000 hours.
Well, if you and I put in 10,000 hours, we still would not be a kicker.
No,
a professional kicker.
No.
And the last thing I want to mention before we move on to our schedule breakdown, I think the best player, if I had to say who the best player was on the entire team, based on what I've seen these past 3 days, Deshaun Jackson.
Not Trent.
No, Deshaun Jackson is a man on the mission this year. It seems like he's really playing with a chip on his shoulder, making some great catches from Kirk and working really hard in one-on-ones. I think we have a really motivated Deshaun Jackson on our team this year. I'm really excited for what he's going to do.
It's really good to hear you say that. He's healthy, he's motivated, because I think at least we on this show have always recognized his elite talent, but I get the feeling kind of some of the more casual fans are probably not listening to our podcast, but if you are a casual fan, be comforted by the fact that he really and truly is an elite talent. And yeah, he wasn't healthy last year, but if all goes well, the guy is such a huge benefit to the team. He really opens up the entire offense in a way that no one else really can. And I'm talking,
and he doesn't become a distraction with any kind of off the field ish.
He's got a little bit of the diva wide receiver thing.
He does, and that's the nature of the position. But I think, Robbie, that's it. That about covers it for your camp observations this week, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
I wish I could be there each practice.
Yeah. Note to Redskins PR:
get paid to send you there.
Yeah,
we're working on that. Buy a T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, let's move on because
if you run a male enhancement pill company, call us.
Call Steve.
No.
So we should really cover one thing before we get to our schedule prediction, our way too early schedule prediction, as I always like to call it. But unfortunate news, we lost 2 guys on defense before it even all started. Junior Gillette is he on IR yet, or is he's just injured and
no?
ACL,
they moved
right?
him. Yeah, they've already moved him.
Okay.
The IR isn't quite the same in the off season, but he's on the long term. He's on the list. Yes, he's already gone.
And then of course Jarrett, our wonder kid, 6th round safety / corner from last year, who I think we all had high hopes for.
I'm worried about Jarrett's football career.
Yeah, it sounds like his career's done. That's a real shame.
Yeah, it is.
You wish the best for him. You hope maybe he comes back from it in a year or two, but that's tough to do.
It really is.
Yeah, that's a darn shame because he has potential.
Mm-hmm.
Losing Junior Galette to me is a major, major, major blow. I mean, I don't think you can underemphasize the effect of not having Junior Galette. To me, he was by far, at least on paper, our most talented pass rusher. Statistically, he's by far the most successful pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a much better, much more skilled pass rusher than Ryan Kerrigan. Preston Smith, we'll see. He's a still rookie. I think Preston Smith may end up being better than Ryan Kerrigan too in terms of pass rushing.
I think so.
But I think we went from having an elite group of edge rushers to a group that is good. And we needed more. We weren't that good. We were kind of middle of the pack statistically in sacks last year. Yeah, we were going to take a step up to be one of the better pass rushing teams with him, and now we're not.
Yeah,
and I think it's a real shame that he's gone. I know he's been putting out on social media. He was asking, the fans on social media if anybody had heard of any treatments,
to get him back on the field sooner.
Yeah.
Stem cells. That I'm sure he got that one a lot.
Well, yeah, so who knows? So, I mean, Robbie, what do you think? I mean, the loss of Galette, what do you think it means to the team?
I mean, the biggest thing about it was the loss of depth that we had.
Yeah.
With the three of them, that was a monster three that you could rotate in and out and not have much of a drop in production. Mm-hmm. Now you just have Kerrigan and Preston Smith with guys like Houston Bates and Lyndon Trail, Willie Jefferson, basically unknown guys that are you have no idea what you have in them.
And it seemed, and let's be honest, no one projects any of them to necessarily step up. Not saying they can't, but no one was projecting anything.
Right. And the thing is, what it seems like, the team's just at least biding their time to see what they have in these guys before they bring in another veteran like Dwight Freeney or O'Brien Schofield or something.
Right. And let's all agree, we hope it's not Hardy.
It won't be Hardy.
Yeah.
That rumor came out really quickly and really
I just can't believe that anybody would actually advocate to bring Greg Hardy on the field. I mean, he's got, if Jerry Jones gives up on you, that means you're a bad apple. I mean, people don't forget. I mean, he had talent, but my God, I mean, he showed too much attitude for the Dallas Cowboys, and you want to bring him here. And on top of that, he has a drug problem. I mean, he was a wife beater. It'd just be terrible. Yeah. I mean, Dwight Freeney wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. He's old, for a football player.
You're bringing him to be the third guy for 1 year.
Yeah. I mean,
and he's a guy that Kerrigan and Preston Smith can both learn from too.
Right.
I mean, he made the spin move famous. The guy's been one of the best pass rushers. Within how long has he been in the league?
Oh, at least 14 years, I feel like.
Yeah.
One of the best pass rushers of this generation.
Yeah. No question. I think there was. You could argue there was a 5-year chunk where he was the best pass rusher.
Yeah.
When he
at
was
least one of the top 2 or 3. Yeah, certainly.
So,
by the way, Junior Galette's been moved to the reserve non-football injury list.
Okay, is that what it's called right now?
Yeah. Because he didn't get hurt on the field, I guess, or it was before training camp happened. When
he got hurt on a field
practicing football on his own. Yeah.
And just to be clear, because I was out of town, it's the other foot, right, or the other leg?
It's the other one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pull the other one,
which is pretty common, they say, because when after you rupture your Achilles like he did, you
overcompensate.
You put a lot of you overcompensate and puts a lot of strain on the other one, and boom.
Well, it just sucks.
By the way, Dwight Freeney's completed his 14th year last year, so if he plays, this will be his 15th year. Yeah.
I was right though. I said 14.
Yeah, you're right.
I pulled that out of my ass. Go me.
You're right. Yeah, he's old. There's no doubt about it. So we wanted to mention that because it's a huge loss. I feel really bad for him. I hope the team. The team keeps him around and signs him again, to see what he has, next year. But second Achilles in a row,
tough.
Yeah, it is. So we wish him the best.
So guys, we are kind of running late on time, but we really want to do the schedule prediction. So I think we're going to try and steamroll a little through it, but
just kind of rapid fire.
Yeah, well, let's rapid fire this. I'm going to read you the schedule, and we'll just go round table who get guessing who will win. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So, The season starts. Yeah, I'm keeping score, Steve. Yes.
See, that was supposed to be a note that was not for the air.
Oh, don't worry about it. I remember I publish it, though. So
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
So okay. Alex is officially keeping tabs. We're going to publish this on our website as our predictions sure to go wrong.
Right. So let's start this out. September 12th, 7 o'clock game versus the Steelers. Steve, who you got?
I am going to be positive, people. And I'm going to predict the Redskins to beat the Steelers, even though it's Monday Night Football. Even though it's the Steelers, even though we haven't beaten the Steelers since 1991. Le'Veon Bell is suspended. Martavis Bryant is suspended from that game. Those are their two best players on offense other than Ben Roethlisberger. So I'm going to be positive and say we start out on a good note and beat the Steelers. Although
Deadeye.
I can see that easily going wrong.
What's your guess?
I'm on the same page. No Le'Veon Bell. That's a big loss. And Martavis Bryant's a very underrated receiver. He makes some really good catches and plays. As long as we can keep Antonio Brown to a minimum, we got this game in the bag, I think. I'm gonna say a W.
All right, we're starting out with a hat trick. I'm saying win as well. And so I think you guys really nailed it with the number of people they have out this game already.
Yeah.
Really is going to help us. So, week 2, September 18th, 1 o'clock game versus the Cowboys. Steve, go.
Dallas Cowboys, FedEx Field, we're going to win that game. Dallas has got about half their team on suspension right now.
Right.
Tony Romo's is coming back from almost a year off.
He looks fat, by the way. Did you see that picture of him?
I heard that.
Yeah, he looked
fat.
like he'd had one too many cheeseburgers. Yeah. The only thing I'll say about this game is that Dallas is a better pass defense than a run defense,
right.
And we suck at running and we're good at passing. So it's sort of like strength on strength and weakness on weakness a little bit, or our strength against their weak. I said it backwards, but our strength goes against
on strength.
Our strength goes against their strength. Yeah.
Yes.
And they were ranked 27th in pass last year, but that was without Romo. So they're going to be better. But again, I'm going to be positive because they're missing some important people due to suspension. So I'm going to say win.
Robba lava ding dong, go.
It's going to be a win for the Redskins. No, they basically got no DNs, no one to rush the passer. Yep. I think we could just run the ball on them and then just kill them in the play action. So I think we're going to beat them by a lot.
I agree. I say win. So that's all of us at 2-0 to start out the season, which sounds great to me.
Yeah,
Week 3, September 25th, 1 o'clock game at the Giants. Steve.
I think we win this game too. Until the Giants' defense was abysmal last year, it was horrible. Until they proved to me they have some defense. And you're going to line up Eli Apple on Deshaun Jackson. Well, have fun with that.
Hey, Apple.
Have fun, Rook. So, I think because their defense is so awful, I think we're going to win that game, even though it's in New York.
All right.
So I'm having a 3-0 start.
All right, Rob.
I am too. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. I think with Victor Cruz back, plus Sterling Shepard they added in the draft, and Odell Beckham, I think they're going to have a pretty high-powered offense, or a passing attack at least. I think it'll be a shootout, but I think we can win it because I think we have the better defense.
Their defense is horrible.
Here. I think that Ben McAdoo, if you look at a picture of him, he's actually just John Gruden with a goatee. So I think he is an evil twin from a parallel dimension, and he will sucker Jay.
Yeah. All right, well, just remember that the Giants' defense was ranked 30th in the NFL last year, and that was generous. They were terrible.
I know. I just need to add a couple losses into my guesses so that it's not 16-0. I'm not Larry Michael
I do it
here,
game by game, man. Whatever it comes out to is whatever it comes out to. I have it all written out.
I get it. Okay, week 4, October 2nd, Browns. The return of RG3 to FedEx Field. Steve.
I have a hard time believing we can lose to Cleveland at home. Even though Griffin's playing, and Griffin is probably a better quarterback than the direct they've had before, this is another team that has a terrible defense. They were ranked 29th in the NFL last year. They don't have much of a running game. If you look at their running back roster, it's a big, who's who of who's
right.
that, to quote Sean. They do have Josh Gordon back, as a wide receiver, so that'll put some pressure on our defense. And they drafted like 18 wide receivers, I think, in the draft. But their defense stinks, and it's RG3, so they're going to be motivated. So I say that is a win, and the Redskins will be 4-0 at the quarter pole.
Robbie.
I'm on the same page. I think the fact that they're really going to be motivated to not let RG3 beat them. Yeah, I think the backlash of RG3 beating us at FedEx Field with his new team is terrifying. It really is.
Oh, it'll be awful.
Yeah.
I think the whole team's going to be extra motivated to win this game, knowing how bad it would be to lose. But I mean, in the end, it's Robert Griffin III. He lost the starting spot for a reason. He panics in the pocket, stays in the pocket too long, gets sacked. And I don't think that's going to change. I think he is who he is at this point.
Well, the reports out of training camp seem to suggest he's got the same pocket problems in Cleveland as he did here in Washington. So,
and that's not a surprise.
No.
I think the wild card here, though, is if they're going to run that same read option type offense that we did with him his rookie year. That's the thing. If they do that, then they're going to be really hard to beat because they have a ton of receivers for Robert to throw to.
Well, plus, and we don't exactly have the fastest defensive ends and linebackers in the world.
True.
And that's what you need to stop, a read option offense. So
I'm going to say this: if they're running the read option, I don't think RG3 will be here by week 4. I think he'll be on the IR. So win, in my book.
All right. We promise, folks, we didn't copy each other's papers. This is just what we think.
No. I'm the only one who's got a loss so far. I'm the pessimist.
Yeah.
Week 5, my birthday, October 9th, 1 o'clock game at Baltimore. How you doing, hun? Go, Steve.
Wah, wah, wah. This is going to be our first loss. At Baltimore, we never play well at Baltimore for some reason. It doesn't seem to me. They always make us look bad in preseason. They had a down year last year. Their running game kind of sucked. Their defense wasn't as good as it was, but I think Baltimore kind of gets together, and we've been riding this wave of good based on 3 pretty crappy defenses. We're going to come up against Terrell Suggs and company. I think this is our first loss.
Oh, all right. Robbie, do you got crabs too?
I want to say this is a loss, but I think the Ravens still aren't quite there. I think Flacco needs to make a big jump in his performance compared to what he's been doing. Mm-hmm. He's nowhere near where he used to be when he won the Super Bowl.
I would argue he was never there in the first place. But
no, kind of got lucky. He got hot for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
He rode a wave for about 3 games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a hard-fought game, but I think this is one that we can and will win. I'm going to predict a win.
All right.
Wow, 5-0.
I hate to do it because it is my birthday game, like I said. Loss. I think we're going to get crushed, and I'll be depressed for more reasons than just getting older.
Then you'll just drink yourself into oblivion, or we'll just call that another Saturday.
Yeah. Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's true, Sunday.
I don't do that on Saturdays. I only do it before I have to go to work. All right, let's go to Week 7, October 23rd game at Detroit. I got to win. Steve,
hold
what
on
about
a minute.
you?
You skipped the Eagles. Week 6.
I'm sorry.
Eagles.
October 16th, Eagles, 1 o'clock game, Philadelphia.
Right. I think this is going to be a win also. You're not going to convince me that Sam Bradford isn't anything but a mess. And the Eagles defense, the worst defense in the league and against the run last year. Tell me how it's improved at all, somebody. Mm-hmm. And then they had the 28th ranked defense against the pass. Once again, what they do to improve? The defenses in the NFC East were just kind of a parade of awful last year.
Yep. And
I don't think they've improved at all. They're going to look more like a traditional offense now that old Chip Kelly's gone. But because it's in D.C., and not in Philadelphia, I'm going to give us the win because ultimately I don't have faith in Sam Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a trap game. I think we're going to be riding high at our 5-0 record, and then we'll sleep on the Eagles, and they kind of eke by with a win on this one.
All right.
This is our first loss of the season.
I think it's a win. I think the Eagles are a bigger mess than the press is even letting on. They have 3 quarterbacks that are all being overpaid right now, and they drafted a guy, number 2, and they're not going to play him all year?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is an Eagle.
Yeah, that makes no sense what they're doing at the quarterback position.
You guys realize how much Chase Daniels is getting paid?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a huge contract.
$9 million,
for being a backup
right?
quarterback. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Looked at it the other day because somebody tweeted at us that if we thought that Colt or Chase was a better backup, and I started looking at the contract. Going, my God,
no,
I'll take Colt any day over Chase Daniels for what this contract's
number 3.
Yeah,
that money. Well, let's go to October 23rd. I already revealed. I think we will beat the Lions in Detroit.
Yeah.
What do you got going on in the Motor City there?
Well, first of all, did you say win against the Eagles, Alex, or not?
I did say win.
Okay. I think the Redskins are going to beat Detroit in the Motor City. Their running game stinks. Mm-hmm. And yet again, they haven't done much to improve the running game. And then now they lost Megatron.
Right.
And he's an irreplaceable asset. And if you look at their roster, the rest of their receivers don't really do much for me outside of the guy from Notre Dame. Yeah, nope. Golden Tate. If you cover him, and I'm not sure that they can put a lot of pressure on an offense other than him, even though they've got a great quarterback back there in Matthew Stafford.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I've always thought Stafford is overrated, but
he puts up tons of numbers. But point is, I think we can go in there and beat Detroit. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Robbie, what about you?
Steve kind of freaked out for a second.
Well, my thought or my system had crashed.
No. We all just lost video at the same time. I don't know why, but
we're good. I think we're gonna win this game too. Stafford he's that kind of. He puts up big numbers, but he's also a risk taker. I think our defense is going to have a really good game in this one. They're going to pick him off a lot, create turnovers. Should be no problem. But, should be is always the magic word because it could also be another trap game. You never know. But I'm going to say a win. Okay,
win for Robbie. So we all agree win in Detroit. Next is October 30th, 9:30 a.m. game. That's in the morning, folks, because we're going to be in merry old England at the Bengals, but it's not really a at the Bengals situation when both teams are flying across the pond.
Both are away, basically.
Yes, exactly.
It's at Wembley Stadium in London. I think this is an easy loss. Number one, I think it's a mistake for the team. The team's traveling on Friday for a Sunday game, and I think that's a mistake. I know Alex and I have done some international travel, and I think it's tough to pull a time difference in be healthy and ready to go in 36 hours or something.
It is. I always found going overseas easier than coming back. But
but you're not playing a professional football game.
No. I'm going to go sightseeing.
The Bengals are going to were one of the best teams in the NFL for the first half of last year.
They were.
And then Andy Dalton got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah. They're going to be back healthy, Andy Dalton wise. I think the Bengals are a better team than the Redskins. We never seem to play well in spotlight games, and we're traveling across the pond, as are the Bengals, to be fair, but I think it's a loss.
I'm predicting a loss, too. I think the travel's going to affect this. I also think that the Bengals have just one of the most elite defenses in the league and are going to give Kirk some problems. Their pass rush is really good, and they got good linebackers. What's his name? Vontaze Burfict. He made a name for himself this season, and he's going to be dangerous too. So I think this is going to be a loss.
Boy, Vontaze Burfict is a guy that, if everybody remembers back to the draft, he got knocked a lot for character issues and everything, and nobody took a chance on him, and the Bengals did, and he's turned out to be an elite linebacker.
But he still shows his character trouble too. Like he got in big trouble during the playoff game that they lost.
He did.
Didn't he get some kind of suspension thing for that, or no?
I don't know if he got a suspension, but he cost his. You could argue he cost his team a chance to win.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he did get fined though.
Yeah, he must have gotten fined. I mean, they love to fine people, so well, that puts us at the halfway point, and our bye week so far. Just so you guys are keeping tabs, I've got 3 losses predicted. Robbie and Steve are both tied with 2 losses predicted. That's a pretty good first half of the season, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, it gets worse after this, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tough stretch.
Yeah. Our season is a season of halves. Somebody from the team said, man, the NFL front office really likes the Cowboys with how we got scheduled versus them later.
No doubt. We'll get to that.
Yeah, but let's come back from the bye week. November 13th, 1:00 game, Minnesota Vikings.
I'll tell you, this was the hardest game to evaluate on the schedule to me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought so because, they have the best running back in the NFL in Adrian Peterson. Our run defense was terrible last year, abysmal. If it doesn't improve this year, and we didn't exactly bring in a bunch of studs to have it improve, Adrian Peterson's going to run all over us. And if you do that, you always have a chance to win. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be in year 2. Statistically, he left a lot to be desired last year, but he showed a lot of poise, and he was developing. I think he's going to be a quality quarterback. Their defense, believe it or not, by points scored was 5th in the NFL.
Yeah.
I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on this game. But I'm going to be generous, and because I vowed to be more positive this year and predict a win.
Really?
Even though I think this game
is. I was all ready to write down an L, and Steve switcherooed me.
It just is. This is one that there's no reason.
Not so fast, my friend.
I don't have a good logical reason.
Hitting delete
other than
key
I just,
now.
I don't have a good logical reason other than I want to be positive about it, so I'm going to pick a win.
Okay, Robbie.
It's a close one. This is the other one I could see going the other way.
This is a loss. I think they have really good defense on the rise. They were good last year, but I think they're going to get better. It all depends though on Teddy Bridgewater. Mm-hmm. If we can do something to slow down Adrian Peterson, put the game on Teddy Bridgewater's shoulders, it all rests on him. If we can make him make mistakes and show that he's still not quite the quarterback that he should be, then we win. But I think it's going to be hard to stop Adrian Peterson, plus do anything against that defense. So I'm going to say that's a loss.
Well, I'm going to stick with my original prediction, which is a win. But, man, you guys are really talking me into thinking that's a loss.
I'm talking while you were introducing the game, I wrote W, and then I crossed it out and wrote L, and I crossed it out and wrote W again on my cheat sheet here.
And I think, Robbie, you nailed it. It all depends on what Teddy Bridgewater becomes this year. Really
Adrian Peterson is going to get his against us. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for the day for Peterson to hit the wall.
We talked over each other there.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I was saying we've had a history of stopping Adrian Peterson before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
I have my doubts, but I'm going to predict a win.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, the next couple games, I've heard guys call this the hardest 3 weeks they've ever seen the Redskins have on the schedule. It all starts November 20th with an 8:30 p.m. game versus the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. What do you see going on there?
This is a big loss for us.
Big loss. Do we really need to evaluate it much beyond big loss?
It's A.A. Ron Rodgers.
They had a down year last year a little bit, even though they made the playoffs. I think they're going to be better. Mm-hmm. So I think
Jordy Nelson is back too.
Yeah. I'd almost say this is kind of blowout level loss.
Yeah. Robbie, I assume you're not here to be the voice of optimism?
No, it's a loss. It's the Aaron Rodgers effect. He's
we beat him once.
One of the best in the league. I don't know. Jordy Nelson's back. That makes Randall Cobb more dangerous. What's his name? The running back is
Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy. He's lost all kinds of weight. He's leaner, more athletic than he used to be. It's going to be a tough game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Probably a loss. On paper right now, you never know, but it's probably a loss. 4 days later, we're all going to be stuffing our faces with turkey. Probably some of us will be having some wine or something like that, to wash it down. Meanwhile, the Redskins will be in Dallas playing the Cowboys at 4:30.
This is a very easy game to predict here. It was the second L I wrote on my chart when I looked at it, wanted to prepare for the show today. This is an easy loss. If Romo is there, it may be a blowout loss. I mean, we're going from a Sunday night game to traveling for a Thursday game, which means they have 2 days of practice, one of which is a Monday, which is a recovery day. So they really only have one real day of practice for this, and then they have to travel on Wednesday night. So I think this is an easy loss. This is what, if you were following the NBA, this would be called a schedule loss.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to disagree with this. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think they can win it. I'm going to predict that Tony Romo is out by this point in the season.
If that happens, that's a different story.
Right.
That's my prediction. Romo's going to be out by this point with some kind of injury, and whoever their backup's going to be is not going to be Tony Romo.
Right
Dak
now it's
Prescott,
Kellen Moore, who's terrible,
Yeah.
and Dak
And
Prescott
Dak.
isn't ready.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about any of them behind him. So Tony Romo is going to be out. Yes, it's a quick turnaround and to travel to, but I think we can do it. I think we'll win this one. I think we'll sweep the Cowboys.
Now, I actually think we'll sweep, and let me tell you why. I think if you're doing schedule losses, Steve, I look at that schedule and I say, I don't care if I lose to the Packers if I'm Jay Gruden. I care more about that Cowboys game 4 days later. I'm spending most of my time working on winning that game and just assume you're going to lose the Packers.
I mean, I hear you. I don't know if NFL teams really operate like that mentality-wise, but, I mean, I hear what you're saying.
That would be my mentality going in. I'm giving guys rest during the Packers game. I'm doing whatever I can to win that Cowboys game the next week because it's winnable. It's in your division. It makes a lot more sense.
I'm going to say that I think we lose this game no matter who's the quarterback. I'll say it like that.
Okay. All right. Well,
We'll see.
I hate to say it, it's Dallas, but I got to be honest,
It's understandable, like, we're also all Redskins fans. We're used to, having our hearts broken.
Yeah.
So, let's move on. The last game of this 3-game stretch that I think is just a nightmare, really. And that is December 4th, 4 o'clock game at Arizona versus the Cardinals.
This is an easy loss.
Another easy loss.
This is a no-doubter. Yeah. I don't know how the Cardinals didn't make the Super Bowl. If you look at their numbers and what they did, this is one of the very best teams in the NFL, no one else included. I mean, if Carson Palmer's upright, they were number 2 in the NFL in points scored. They were number 2 in passing yardage, number 8 in running. Their defense was fearsome. We got to travel all the way to the West Coast. Yes, there's a couple extra days to prepare, but I think there's very little chance we can win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say a loss, too. Their defense last year was already scary. Now they have Chandler Jones. They drafted Robert Nkemdiche in the first round. I think they're going to be really scary. I think this could be their year to make a run at the Super Bowl.
Robert Nkemdiche could be this year's Vontaze Burfict. Attitude problem, but he's got elite skills. Yeah,
I loved him all draft.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else was hating on him for his character and all that, and work ethic and all that, but I saw a monster on tape. That's what I saw.
This was the first L I wrote on my chart, by the way, when I looked at the schedule for this.
I mean, I don't see how you couldn't say it's a loss. And here's the thing. The Cardinals, they have a window. They have a very much a older veteran quarterback, and their star receiver is in that same boat. Those two are going to, their careers are going to end very soon, and the Cardinals will go back to being a 2-win team pretty quickly, I feel like.
I don't
know.
don't
this is
think
a
so?
different bunch. I agree with Robbie.
Not with
Bruce
what's
Arians.
his name? Bruce Arians is now the coach.
They have a better front office. When they sucked every year, Bill Bidwell and his kids were in charge.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
They seem to have a
Bidwell's
more
gone.
stable front office, and Arians is a great coach. I think you're right, Robbie. They love playing for him. I think the old Cardinals are gone.
You don't think we'll ever
so,
see?
too.
I mean, to me, I just don't see what their next generation plan is because they haven't drafted that.
Who knows?
That's
We'll
where my big
do
question
the
mark is.
Cardinal podcast maybe after this.
Yeah, we need to find the one Cardinals fan who does it. Well, let's move on. December 11th, Eagles game, 1 o'clock at Philly.
I hate to do it, but I think this is going to be another loss. Again, it's on the road. Again, this is the third away game in a row. I want to say we win just because, again, I already told you guys I didn't have faith in Sam Bradford, but it is in Philly. Philly always seems to play us tough.
Yeah.
Especially in their own house. The only question mark here is if their defense truly is as horrid as it was last year. Maybe it'll turn, but I just have a sinking suspicion that we're going to lose this game mainly because it's in Philly, and it's coming off an awful stretch of games.
It's coming off an awful stretch, but I think this is where we rebound and really make our final push for the playoffs. I think we win this game. I don't know about how well we win this game, but I think we win it and make ourselves 8-6 at this point.
Mm-hmm. I have a win penciled in here. I look at Philly as probably the worst team in the NFC East, if not probably bottom 4 in the NFL. So I don't buy into them. All right, let's move on to another nightmare game. 8:30 p.m. Panthers, December 19th.
Loss next.
Loss next.
It's over. Yep.
Robbie?
Loss. It's Cam Newton.
Yep.
Defense
Cam
is
Newton,
great.
best player in the league.
Loss. All right. We're all agreeing there. Loss. All right. Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1 o'clock at the Bears. The Bears.
Well,
Steve, what do you got?
We have to do this in the Bears voice. We can't
Your Chicago accent.
do your best Chicago.
Yeah.
This is a game that the Bears are playing in Soldier Field. Jay Cutler is going to be on the field and playing. Their defense, it was bad against the run. The Redskins may come in and they're going to win this game. I hate to say it, and I'm going to go have a piece of pizza to drown my sorrows in this, but I think the Redskins are going to rebound after a five game losing streak to beat the Bears.
See, I have a feeling that the Bears are going to be a pretty good team this year, actually. I think, I sound like Jay Gruden, but...
well, Jay Gruden does sound like he's doing the bit.
He does sound like he's from Chicago.
Yeah, so you got to keep up your bit, man. You ruined it. You got to stay in character.
So the Bears are going to be a pretty dangerous team this year. I think their defense got a lot better in the draft. I think the Mike Ditka is going to come back and...
Did you say was it Ditka? Did you say Mike Ditka?
Yeah, Ditka is going to be there. Bears are going to be pretty dangerous. I think we will lose this game.
I think you're right there. I think it's a loss. I don't know why. It's like a deep dish pizza. You just want to eat the thing, and then you get to the thing, and it doesn't work. I don't see us winning this one.
I don't think the Bears have improved enough in the offseason to overcome the Redskins, who are going to be motivated. You see, to get out of the character here, to me...
Steve won, by the way. Steve won. He kept up with it longer.
Well, I can't. At this point in the season here, according to my predictions, we're 7-7.
Mm-hmm.
I had us at 8-8, right?
Yeah, I had us at
7.
8-7. Well, before after the Carolina game, I had us at 7-7, and so I think part of it is that the Redskins are going to be motivated to close out the season in fine fashion. Mm-hmm. So that was another reason. I think we're going to be motivated to beat the Bears.
I mean, you're probably right, but I don't know. I feel like we're going to feel beaten down after the Cardinals, the Panthers, and all that. That second half of the season is going to wear on us, too. That's what I'm worried about. Well, let's move on to Week 17, 1 o'clock, January 1st, New Year's Day, Giants game.
Win. Yeah, I guess. It's the last game of the season. By my count, we're going to be 8-7. We're going to need this game to make a push into the playoffs.
Right.
The Giants are going to be a feast or famine team, I think. They could be terrible, or Eli could become the MVP that he is and put the team on his back. It's always a tough game, but it is at home. It's in Washington. So for that reason, I'm going to give us the W.
Robbie, any reasons you think win, or Steve kind of cover it?
I just think that, Giants are not going to be able to really stop us on defense. They're not. Their secondary is going to be very suspect, I think. Plus, their offensive line still
it's
very
terrible.
Suspect.
Yeah. If you look down their list of names, they have a bunch of nobodies starting on their offensive line.
Yeah, but every somebody starts as a nobody. You never know.
But we have to put it away early, though, because if Eli has a chance in the fourth quarter, we're toast.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I think their defense is, their pass defense is atrocious, and that's what we do best. And like I said, good luck Eli Apple and covering Deshaun Jackson.
Right.
Have fun with it.
I think I agree with you. It's going to be a win. And by my count, everybody, all three of us are guessing 9-7 this year. So maybe that's a good thing.
That's about right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We all get there a little different ways, but we all said 9-7.
I think it's the best they can realistically hope for,
that Bengals through the Cardinals stretch, though, is going to be rough.
To me, that's why I went back and forth on the Minnesota game. Because if we don't have the W, the way I evaluate it, if you don't have the W in Minnesota, you're 8-8, and we miss the playoffs. And because I couldn't see another win on here, so there you go. Yeah,
you have a 5-game losing streak in there.
I know, but I mean that's the tough stretch.
It is. Frankly, I mean, you could argue that whole second half is terrible.
I just don't know how the NFL thought it was okay to give us Packers Sunday night and then go away at Dallas on Thursday.
I don't know.
How do you let that happen? That's
Jerry
a terrible
Jones
turn.
and Roger Goodell have shared certain moments alone.
Private moments between the two of them.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah. Real quick, the poll question was on record. I know we're kind of running late on timer, so we'll do this kind of fast. Yeah. The poll question this week: what will the Redskins' record be this year? Because we only have 4 options, I grouped it as 12 to 16 wins was one option, 10 or 11 wins was another option, 8 and 9 wins was another option, or 7 and below.
All right.
You guys want to take a stab at what you think the public
Redskins
thought?
fans, 12 wins.
Well, so you okay?
That's
think
my
they
guess.
predicted that?
No, I think they predicted like 8 to 9 range.
Well, as it turns out, you're both wrong.
Damn it.
48% of the public out there, and we had good participation in this poll, so thank you again. 48% predicted 10 or 11 wins,
wow.
Which is pretty optimistic. I don't know if you guys actually looked at the schedule or you're just being, fans, which I can approve of that. 36% of the people predicted 8 or 9 wins. The very positive few, 10%, picked 12 to 16 wins, and a mere 6% predicted 7 or below. And you can, frankly, as tough as our schedule is, if a couple things go wrong, I could see 7 wins. I hate to say it, but I mean, you can see it happen.
It's possible.
And keep in mind, I always say this: there's a difference between a team improving and their record improving. I still think this team is improving in a lot of ways, but we could get devastated by injuries. Who knows?
Well, you got to remember, last year we got a little lucky. I mean, because Dallas had a ton of injuries. All 3 defenses in the NFC East were terrible last year, and we had a pretty easy schedule. Mm-hmm. In the second half, I mean, Kirk blew up, but I mean, we had to play just a string of terrible teams too. Yeah. I got to read a couple. I know we're late, but we got 3 comments from a guy named Eric OC. So
Eric, that's a little too many.
Yeah. So I had to, his Twitter handle is E_nice3. And because he wrote 3 comments, I had to read them. He wrote 8 to 9 wins. I think we'll see overall progress towards being a competitor, but maybe less wins because of the first place schedule. He continues on. Kirk is solid. Norman doesn't live up to the hype. How could he? But he plays well. Breland progresses nicely. Reed balls out. Cravens and Fuller show flashes and contribute as rookies, but play like rookies, and Preston Smith steps up. That was a heck of a comment for being a Twitter response, so thanks to that, Eric. I thought I had one more in here I wanted to read you guys. Dave, who comes at us with WSK 28 rules. 8 to 9 wins because we just have too many... Of course, now I can't read his Twitter slang.
Spelled out.
Okay, 8 to 9 wins because we just have too many WC, like from Cousins to running game and our D-line. I can make a case for 14 wins to 6 wins.
I
don't quite know what he meant by that.
WC is.
Yeah, me neither. But what caught my eye in that comment is he said I can make a case for 14 wins to 6 wins, and this is a case for a year where you kind of can,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, no, I can't make a case for 14 wins, but
no, but you can make a case for winning say 11.
Oh yeah,
and you could also make a case for winning 6. And so because we're running so late, I'll leave it at that. Those are some comments. Thank you to everybody who participated in the poll. We may or may not continue this in the regular season. We'll see. But the polls have been fun to do, throughout this whole.
I think we need to keep people interacting, so we'll find stuff.
We'll do something.
You know what? I think we are way over. So that about does it for this episode of the Hogsty. Guys, if you like the show, please write a positive comment somewhere, like Facebook, Twitter, iTunes. No one ever rates us on iTunes, and I know that's how people are listening. So if you could do that, even if you
also
aren't.
retweet us. Retweet the little. We send out the show notices on Twitter. Please retweet it. To your followers so we can get the word out on the show.
Yep, and be happy, everybody. Football season's back, and we'll see you later.
Take care, everybody.